Hello, YouTube. I'm here to talk about Queen Sugar, episode 9. Came on last night. Okay, so we're opening this episode up with the storm has passed. Now, I wish they would have shown us a little bit of storm. Give us a little bit of the Wizard of Oz thing out the windows. You know, we didn't experience the storm at all. They were preparing for the storm last week, and now this week the storm is over. So now, in the very opening of this, Aunt Vi she's devastated because she opens the door and sees the yard. Now, I don't know whose responsibility it would be, who's in charge of making the sets appear. Well, not a set. I mean, it's filmed on some kind of land. But I don't know what she was crying about, because basically she went out there and there was a few things turned over. The grass was still perfectly green. There were no cars turned over in the lawn or anything like that, or any buildings that been moved around. It seemed like nothing. It seemed like you could hardly even tell anything happened there. But she was devastated by it. So, as they explain it, she's devastated because of a garden she had been working on. So all of her garden work is ruined. But seems to be overreacting to me, or just not even the script. It's the set. I mean, if they're going to show us devastation, they could have just left that out and worked in a different kind of way if they were not capable of producing a tore up yard. At least ruffle the grass a little bit. But anyway, that's how we start. Michael still wants to go and stay with Nova. They have a little conversation in the yard. They're helping by. Uh, she said, "I don't know. I'm sorry that my mother talked to you that way." And you know, so she explains to her, "That's your mother. We're family. We're gonna argue." But he still wants to stay with her. So she says it's totally up to your mother, which is exactly what it is, because Charlie is the mother. Okay, so so Nova and Charlie have made up now. Okay, so this is only like a day later. Storm doesn't last, but it's only lasted one night. So all right, so they're going through to survey the damage in the property. Charlie and Rough Angel and Remy surveying the land. They thought at first they were going to have to pump the land. I mean, I don't know any farm terms. I guess drain the land or pump the land means to drain out the excess water. It sounds like a huge, huge, huge undertaking. But I guess farms have that kind of equipment, or they have access to that kind of equipment. They can come and pump all the water out. So they surveyed the land and they said, well, maybe it's not necessary. Ralph Angel wants to do that. Remy saying it's not necessary, that they're in good shape. But while they're out surveying the land, I'm checking out the land. Charlie stumbles on, you heard a scream, and Charlie has then stumbled on two dead bodies. Okay, as we remember from last week, she sent the workers, they had all come in out of the fields, right, to prepare to leave, to get paid and leave and get to self shelter, safe shelter. But she told them, no, go back out there and work some more, because the work is not done. Her concern being that they don't get this seed cane planted before the storm, then they're not going to have much of a crop. So she sent them back out there, and now they're stumbling on two dead bodies. Okay, so my initial thought was, uh-oh, because now she done sent them out there in that storm, and the storm has killed them. But it's soon revealed that that was not what happened. They were murdered, these two migrant workers. So the cop is called. He comes to investigate. Of course, there wouldn't be very much of a police department there. So they're kind of all going on like, there weren't two people just murdered on the farm. But the cop comes. He's a Latin guy, and he's taking the information and so forth. At some point, he asks them what the people's names were, and they're amazed to realize that they don't even know their names. So, not that they're required to know their names necessarily, but just the fact that they would have people there working hard for them and not even know their names. It feels kind of weird to everybody, kind of bad to everybody. Okay. Murder. So the cop tells them that they sure are some fast police department. Cops tells them that these guys were murdered for their money. They were robbed and murdered. My thinking is, why murder them? I mean, to be robbed, that's not a good reason to be. It's not like they're living in New York City somewhere. They're way out in the country on a farm. So I guess, I mean, I don't know. I don't know that life, but apparently the cop is saying that someone came across them and murdered them to rob them. Usually, you want to rob somebody, you tell them, give me the money, or point something at them, unless I guess they could resist and get shot. Anyway, they're dead. Dead as a doornail. And I don't know. There's an opening there. If they want to add some other storyline there, they very well could. If they were to say, for instance, murdered for some other reasons, like murdered for something they saw or something like that. Because I just wasn't very satisfied with the reason they would be killed, particularly way out in the middle of the country. People just roaming the countryside trying to find somebody to rob. Doesn't sound like it'd be fertile pickings. But so anyway, if it does turn out to be something other than a simple robbery, then you heard it here first. All right, so Charlie. Okay, so Charlie's having a hard time about this. She thinks she's a terrible person because she's sending the people back out there. She's feeling guilty about it, and then she's at a weak stage, a weak point, and Nova comes across her. So Nova has to encourage her, telling her that you're not a bad person, and that and then Charlie confesses to her that she was the one that leaked the name of this prostitute in the case against her husband. She leaked the girl's name to the press, to the tabloids. Now that must I don't they're not clear if that happened before the payout or after the payout, after the big meeting they had. She said, I wanted to hurt her like I wanted to ruin her life the way she had ruined my life. So it kind of seems like this is something that wasn't dramatized in the series because we didn't see all that. We just know she gave her a check for $3 million. Now they're still feeling bad about this girl. You ruined her life. That girl demanded $3 million and to break up Davis's marriage. I thought she was well compensated, particularly since he met her in a gangbang. So her job was gangbanging when he met her. Now, I'm not just trying to say that it's okay to rape anybody ever, under any circumstances, but I'm saying that she got paid, put it like that. Then and much in that settlement, she demanded $3 million. That's a lot of money for somebody who makes their living as a prostitute and who makes their living doing gangbang. So I just think that's just I didn't like that storyline. Okay, so she tells Nova about it. Micah likes this girl. There's a new girl. Her name is Kiki. She's pretty. So of course he had a white girlfriend uh, back in L.A. and the girl played him and was seeing other guys and all that. He got his little feelings hurt. So now he meeting this girl, Kiki. Kiki is a friend of one of the friends of the family. So this guy pulls up in a truck. He's got his daughter with him, and they're coming to help out on Vi with getting the place back together again. And then instantly, when the kid sees her and she sees him, there's immediately energy between them. So you know that this is not a one off for her. She'll be back. So I guess she's been added to the cast at least for the moment. Okay, her name is Kiki. She said they're friends on one of these social media type things, or she sees him on there, so she's already aware of him. So they're flirtatious kind of thing, and Micah really likes her. All right, and then Vi refuses. Okay, so the subject comes up again of Vi signing these papers to sign over custody of Blue. She's adamant that she's not going to do that. So now she hates Darla. She hates Darla, and she has good reason to be. It's because she's very threatened by Darla, because Darla is the natural mother of Blue. And at some point, if she's declared healthy enough, she could take their child back, and she knows that. So it's not that she thinks she's the worst person to ever walk the earth. More like she's the father of this baby, and she don't want to give up the baby. I don't know if it's part because she'll be bad for the baby, and also part because she wants to keep the baby in the family. But Vi is just in a funk this whole time. So Hollywood walks up on her, and he brings to her that it's not about Blue. Blue is the baby, of course, the kid, Ralph Angel's son. It's about Ralph Angel. And he's saying that Ralph Angel is not your child. So she's holding on to Ralph Angel like she was his mother. And this girl's a threat because she threatens to take him away. So she's not only does she not want the baby to have to leave for that girl, she don't want Ralph Angel to leave for that girl or fall under her guys. You know, people are. It's a sketchy situation when somebody is in recovery, early recovery, because you know the feeling is always that you know this could go sour at any moment. She could relapse. I guess she's been clean 18 months. It's not true. Once an addict, always an addict. All that shit comes out of 12-step programs. They always say, "Oh, you're an addict. I'm an addict. Hello, my name is such and such. I'm an addict." No, I've been clean for 15 years, and I haven't been to a AA meeting in 14 of those years. People can be delivered from the past, but the only thing is to get clean and then declare that you're never going to use again. In that way, you don't know because things could go sour. The only way to it is to get to it. You're gonna just have to be clean, and then just like she's getting Ralph Angel's attention now, where initially she didn't have it at all. Eventually, he sees you're serious. Eventually, you know these things happen in a natural sort of way. So at some point, I mean, she may never use again the rest of her life, but you ain't gonna find that out until she does it or makes long strides in that. And so they may very well be back together. When the series first started, I was led to believe, I'm sure other people were led to believe, that Ralph Angel was going to have an affair with this teacher. Oh, yeah, she makes an appearance in this too. I'll get to her in a minute. But somebody would be good for him, or someone we would consider a good person. And this other girl, of course, is a crackhead. But now she's doing what she needs to do. She's very beautiful too. The longer they kind of did the makeup right, because the longer she's clean, the better looking she gets. But so anyway, her and Ralph Angel are connected again, and this threatens Vi. That's why she's upset. She don't want to lose either one of them. All right, Ralph Angel or his son. Okay, Micah likes, but she's still doesn't want to sign over custody, which makes sense because they're just gonna have to wait and see what happens. That's just the way that is. You know, after she starts being clean for a while, a couple of years maybe, they're not gonna be able to stop her from claiming her son again. It is what it is. Live into it. All right. So I refused the papers. Okay, here's the thing about Blue's teacher. Blue's teacher, she was flirting with Ralph Angel in the beginning. I see that they didn't have them flirting at all in this episode. So there could have been a change in the storyline. I think probably for the writer, that was the initial plan. These two would like each other. But she's been called in because she speaks Spanish. She's bilingual. So she comes in and they bring the farm workers in, the migrant workers in. And she translated for him that two of their friends had been killed. So the migrant workers, I was saying it right, the migrant workers. The workers, one of them breaks down in tears. You know, the teacher, breaks down in tears because apparently it was very close to one of these guys, or both of these guys got killed. Um, So anyway, it's a very touching kind of scene. They made some reference to we become. It's like slavery all over again, because we should know those people's names. One thing, they are people, they're human beings, and they're just working to make a living, and we're treating them like they're slaves or something. It's kind of what is being communicated in this episode. And so they're making a point to find us a person name in it, and Charlie says we want to give them a proper burial with their family, so they're going to ship the bodies back to the families. Okay, okay with that. So the teacher translates. There was no scene between her and Ralph Angel, so I guess that storyline just kind of died. Just like when he on the very first one, and he robbed that store, and the girl said, "I see your face," and then nothing else ever happened with that. They changed the storyline, or there's going to be part of the climax of this season where she identifies him, gets him in trouble. All right, so okay, so we all know Nova is a writer, and she wants to do a story on these workers. Now, when she's being interviewed by the police officer, and he tells them that we think they would rob us, we actually caught somebody, some meth addicts, and or the guy's a meth addict, the robber. Then she pulls out a notepad and starts taking notes. And she tells him that I intend to write a story about this. So I don't know about how I feel about that, because people are grieving. I mean, they just found out the damn people were killed, and now she whips out a pad and starts taking notes, which I guess is what reporters do. It would be a human interest story. You know, she's very community conscious. It's touchy because these are probably illegal workers, so they have to be careful about how much information they give up about themselves. But it's in her intention to write a piece on this, exposing this condition, and if our people are out there killing people, and because apparently the migrant workers, they're not able to have a bank account or anything like that, so they have cash on them. So all the money that they've made working on that farm is in their pockets, which would make them potential victim. I mean, that's why they would rob them. They would single them out. Okay, so Ralph Angel and Darla are having intimate moments now, and that's kind of it. That's kind of it. Ralph Angel and Darla, they're getting kissy again, and of course Charlie and Remy. I think this is the last scene. They're just kind of being together. It kind of drifts off. You know, we see that couple, all three couples, with Vi and Hollywood, and then Darla and Ralph Angel, and then we kind of see a snippet of all of these different relationships. And I guess the new one would be Micah and this girl. What's her name? Kiki. They show all that, and then it kind of fades out. So that's where we leave it this week. All right. So that's episode 9 of Queen Sugar. Talk to you next week.